All right, here we go. Let's talk about more processed foods. So let's take grains. A whole grain such as rice, brown rice, such as farro, which is a type of wheat, such as earhorn, which is another type of wheat, and oat, quinoa. We take all of these things that come in more of a seed shape, and that's because they haven't been altered. They're not. So oatmeal is slightly processed, but an oat is not. Whole wheat flour is processed, but wheat is not. These are the things that cause us we have to burn more energy in order to consume them. So let's talk about meat. A cut of meat is not as processed. Ground meat is, sausage is, and anything with TVP added into it is processed. Let's talk about fruit. An apple, not processed. Baked apples, a little processed. Applesauce, very processed. Let's talk about a craze right now called juicing. So we take our fruits and our vegetables and we run them through a processing machine that might spin them or press them and squeeze out what we think are valuable nutrients and leave behind just fiber. This is actually processed. So again, you're storing more than what you would use to actually consume and burn as far as energy goes. Dairy. So a lot of dairy is processed. Whole milk that comes straight from the animal, not processed. So cheese is processed, but you can get less than others. Cheese food would be the obvious result of too much processing. Fat. Avocados, not processed. Guacamole, a little processed. Avocado oil, a little bit processed. High temperature refined oil, highly processed. Your lard, especially, even vegetable lard, highly processed. So all of these things take on a different meaning. Let's look at nuts. Roasted nuts, slightly processed. Raw nuts, not processed. Nut butters, somewhat processed. Dehydrated, same thing. Freeze dried, same thing. Everything is slightly processed. And then let's go to vegetables. So straight from the garden into your mouth, not processed. Green beans at a all-you-can-eat buffet with bacon floating in it and tons of salt and boiled the life out of. A little processed. And same thing back with the spinach and juicing or even placing in your shake. There's a little bit of processing going on there. So just keep that in mind as you're making these choices. Look at trying to limit how much processed food you're getting so that your body is really gaining benefit from digesting the food that you are eating and also getting the nutrients. I like to look at it as a challenge for my body, physically speaking. If we equate this to fitness and I say, okay, I'm going to do a push-up from my knees versus a push-up from my toes with 50 pounds on my back. One is definitely much harder, requires more effort and more ability, and therefore I'm burning more calories versus the one that I'm doing from my knees. So you decide what you're going to eat. Are you going to eat food that's going to give you more nutrition, more calorie burn, more energy, or are you going to eat food that's going to leave you lacking with excess to carry around?